Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Sistrunk, and I'm reaching out to my Linux students. Okay, this video log is just going to be basically a short video log, and it's based on the conversations I've been having for the past week with students who are logging into the courses and actually getting set up in their different portals. I want to stress in this video what's important, what's extremely important. It's not the portals that you're working in right now. So we have the basic Linux students, they working in a different portal, learning Ubuntu, learning CentOS. Then we have the Red Hat Linux students, they working in a portal, and they had the blessing to actually go through different versions of Linux as they proceeded through their first two courses, and then a third one. Now, I'm trying to stress in this video what you should truly learn, and that is, without a shadow of a doubt, the syntax, the different commands, and have a brief definition of the commands that you can remember. So as I proceed through this particular video, I want you to focus on the things that I'm doing, even though I know you are doing them. But to come out of this class, I need you to come out knowing the Linux commands. By far, that's it, the commands. Because the commands will give you the ability to control many of the Linux versions that's out there. In my next video that will be coming out also this week, I'll be going over Linux commands. I wanted to give you a chance to get ahead of the game. So I'm going to be going over the Linux commands, and I'm going to be expressing why they are important that you should know. So watch this video log. It's a real short one, and just make sure that at the end of this week you have a grasp on many of the commands that you have already went through. Now for my advanced Linux students, the ones who are working in the system administrative arena, you should have these commands. I should be able to ask you a question, and you should be able to tell me what that command is, what it does, etc., etc., etc. So with that being said, let's keep this short. Focus on the syntax, focus on the command, and focus on a brief definition of that command so you know how to execute it. This is Professor Sistrunk. Let's move to the next one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Sistrunk, and I am reaching out to my Linux students. In this particular section, I want to reach out to the basic Linux students and the advanced Linux students, because I want to walk over some of these commands, because I want to stress how important these commands are. Okay, so we just completed our first week, but I want to stress some particulars based off of the feedback I've been receiving from students. Everybody now should know how to get into a Linux portal. Now, as you can see, you looking at a Linux portal right here. But guess what? It does not look like the Linux portal that you are working in. Woohoo! I want you to get used to, when you're working in an enterprise environment using Linux, or when you're working at home using Linux, you will pretty much receive the Linux version that either you go out and purchase, or the Linux version that the company says we need you to work on. So in this class, I said earlier, you're going to get used to 3 different versions of Linux. You're going to get used to Ubuntu, CentOS, and also Red Hat. Now, with Red Hat and my Red Hat students, they go into the system administrative level. So they thinking, hopefully, like systems administrator. And by the way, you don't see my face because I wanted to have full screen. As you can see with this Red Hat Linux, I have the Bastion server, I have the classroom, I have a server A, server B, and also the workstation. I want you to get used to understanding that you go in environments, and from company to company, they have different setups.
So if you are a little shaky now, that's only because you're getting used to your particular environment. And when I say environment, you're going to hear me use the term portal, only because we're giving you access to different portals, and that's how it is in the world. It's hundreds, I mean hundreds of different types of portals. You have two powerful applications out there that deal with operating systems. Whether it's on a network level or a desktop level, you have the Windows world and you have the Linux world. And in the Windows world, it's just pretty much the same, but in the desktop world, it's entirely different. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, what about Apple? What about all this or that? Yeah, they are out there, but when we talk about the major players in the game, when it comes to the networking operating system, we're talking about Windows and also Linux. But you can throw Alpha in there anytime with me, and I will not disagree with you. Okay, so this is my portal. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up a particular workstation, and I'm gonna bring it over here so you can see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in now. Same login screen that some of you already have. So let me go ahead and log in. Now you notice I have a blue background. You have a black background, or you may have a background that's black with a figure 8 on it. I'm trying to say, I don't want you to get bogged down on the portal that you're working out of. I want you to get bogged down on this here. Lock the commands in. Lock the commands in. So some of you have went through a lot of different commands and you're having fun with it. You enjoying it. Some of you like, wow, what is this? And that's okay too. But I want you to lock the commands in. I know, Professor, I'm learning them, but I really want you to focus in. To my Linux administrative students or Red Hat students, this is the time where you are literally at that point where if I ask you what a command is, you can tell me, And I'm not talking about the technical advanced commands. If I ask you what this command is, you should be able to tell me, hey, Professor, that just lists the directories. Okay. If I ask you what this particular command is, you should be able to say, that's going to tell me about my entire system. That's going to tell me about my directory, where I'm located at. So it's at that point where it's things that you should know by heart. That's my advanced students. Now, for my beginner students, you need to be writing down the command. You need to be writing down the definition, because as you proceed to the next level, you will begin to understand these commands. If I wanted to know what Linux version I'm using, you should be able to give me the command. So if we talking on the phone, I'm gonna say, hey, what command will show me the Linux version that I'm using? And you'll be able to say, Professor, you name. We got that. You should be able to tell me. This little session that I'm giving you that will not be long will be questions about the commands. These basic commands. Remember, both of you are right now reading through chapter 1, 2, 3, and they are basic commands that you should know. This is an 8-week class, and I'm expecting you to know those particulars. Okay, so when I throw in a command like this, I know you can pretty much tell me what that command will do. Of course, it's going to give me the date. You should know that. And if you have any problems with the commands or anything in the class, please take the time to meet me in my office hours, because that's what they're there for you to meet with me. So, of course, you should know that command. I am going to be picking on you to make sure you can tell me the different commands. If I type this particular command in here, I don't really expect you to know this. I really don't. But if you do know this, I would be happy, because you telling me that we can change the order with that abbreviation. We can change the order of those commands. Okay, so I got option commands that I can use. If I say this to my administrating students, what would this particular command do? Of course they will be able to tell me what this particular command would do, because they're at that point where they are using this command. Well, Professor, that's just going to give you the timed. And that's what you will be doing. You'll be able to tell me what those particular is. I just need you to start remembering and know that each one of these commands that we use, they have options that we can use on here. So that there is pretty much telling me that you really paying attention. Now, it will be a lot of commands on here, but the most important ones you'll be able to pick out easy. Like if I wanted to go back and just see what was back there, you'll be able to do that. And it'll tell me my last command that I typed in. Of course. Now, I'm going to log into the system because I want to make sure I'm in the system while I'm doing these commands. And on this particular, the advanced students, they have a setup where they will be inside the system using these various commands. So I don't want to keep typing everything in, but it's locked down on you. You have to type everything in because you are new to the system, and we don't want you learning bad habits right now. So you saw me just copy and paste that in, okay? So what else do I want to point out? I want to point out to you that I want you to be patient and learn these particular commands. Like if I typed in the trail command, you'll be able to tell me what that is. If we were in a classroom together, I would just sit there and have you typing commands in to get used to understanding why we use those particular commands, okay? So you can go back and always review these commands, but create you a cheat sheet. And on that cheat sheet, all I want you to do is to put the command, the syntax, and a brief definition of what the command is so you can know that. Now, as I proceed on, you're going to see me shoot past you in your lesson, because every day I'm going to come and just do some commands. I'm going to try not to do your work. I want you to have the experience to go in here and actually doing the work. But like this command here, of course you can tell me what that command is. It's just a history of the commands that I've been typing in thus so far. And I can just go back and use the number and get that command. So if I put in here this here and also put 29, that should give me that command that I typed in for 29. There it is. You see? So of course I can continue to express an understanding of these different commands. Okay, and that's what Linux is all about. Remember, I told you early on, Linux is the workhorse of the operating system world, but most important, you have control over it because you get a chance to see Linux from a point of view of an individual who is in control of the system. It's like a manual car. You get to shift each way you want to go and how fast you want it to be. That's what Linux is. You're in control of the system. Unlike the Windows world where you just have to click, point and click, and everything works. Let me stop. I don't want you to think I'm putting Windows down. Now I can actually SSH into a system. So if I wanted to go to my server, I can type in SSH, put in my credentials. Remember, even though I'm using the term student, in the real world, that would be your name. Like for instance, Professor Systrunk, C Systrunk, at that whatever that server I'm trying to get into. So you actually doing this as though you're in the real world. Now I went from a workstation and now I'm working on the server. Now my beginner students looking at this like, wow, we're gonna go to this level. I'm hoping they say wow, because this is some exciting things. But as my basic students, you will be doing things like this. You will be making directories. And it's important when you're working on a server that you understand what a directory is. I know you do. But you will also be building these directories as you proceed on. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I just want to give you both an understanding that all you have to focus on right now is just learning the commands. It should be pretty easy for my advanced students. They should have a real good hold on this, but they should be able to build directories. And I'm going to try to sneak some in one day when I'm talking to a few of them to see if they can do it in front of me, see if they remember the commands. But they should be able to build directories. As you can see, I built a directory called project plan. So if I do ls, it should show it. It did documents, but if I do go even further than that, if I go like ls-r and then went documents, this will transfer me over into the documents folder, okay? And then I'll see that plan project right there. So I was able to go in here and jump into the documents folder. I typed in this and now I can see that folder that I created, okay? And it's inside the documents folder. So if you look up here at these folders here, you see these folders here, I put that folder inside of there. I can actually look at all the different, how big the size is. I can put other folders in there. I'm not going to do that right now because that's going to take up a lot of time and I'm bucking on time right now in this demonstration. But to my advanced students and to my beginner students, I just wanted to stress right now, we're going into the second week, and I want you to start building a list of the commands. It's easy. Don't get caught up on the environment. I got some people like, woo, they nervous about the environment. Don't get caught up in the environment. Get caught into the commands. I'm going to stop this video here now.